good signs, however, if you're playing StarCraft.
Not particularly. We'll see if he can turn that around as we have spawning up at the top right for Storm Gaming. It's Namshar.
And in the bottom left-hand side, it is the Queen of Blades. It is Scarlett. For the Shopify Rebellion.
Honestly, for a second when I saw him, I thought he was wearing like a very bizarre gown. Was what I thought he was wearing. I was like, wow, that is a fashion statement to make. But him being at the spot is almost a bigger statement. Like, he's so relaxed, you know? It's gonna play a factor.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought maybe he had surgery just now or was about to, you know?
That would be pretty wild to have surgery queued up for your match at DreamHack. It's like, well, I hope it doesn't go long.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, probably like something, you know, fairly insignificant, but, you know, maybe you still gotta try to get the $200, get that surgery a little bit cheaper.
Oh no, he's in Canada. It's covered. He's good.
Oh, okay. Nice guy. And Scarlett with actually a little bit better lighting than normal, which is weird to say because it's still not the best lighting ever, but she is not completely in the dark, so that's cool.
Yeah, no Darth Scarlett today, which is, you know, a little bit disappointing. It's always unfortunate to miss out on that. It's always cool. I like Darth Lambo and Darth Scarlett a fair bit. So far, the only reason that we're talking about, you know, the lighting of the room and illumination and gowns is that it's a ZVZ where both players have gone hatch gas pool, and there has not been a whole lot happening, pretty much as expected.
Yeah. Interesting is only perhaps the pool placement of both players, as this is going to be pretty good against any drone pool into the spines, right? It's going to reduce the surface area for those spines. And it is cool, I think, that Namshar is aware of this for me, because I feel like he's playing less. And, you know, like this is the kind of thing that takes you a little bit of playing and a little bit of experience. So it is a good sign, I think, that he is matching Scarlett even in those little details that aren't too consequential usually.
Yeah, I think that's a really good sign, actually, and it's great to point that out. Is it means he's at the very least keeping up with the pro meta, and that's a pretty big deal. Like, it's not, you know, necessarily meaning his mechanics are top shelf, but considering the players that he's taken maps off of, both Estrella and Trigger, his mechanics can't be bad. That is for damn sure.
That is very true. I mean, both of those players are incredibly difficult to beat. So, yeah, maybe you're onto something. Maybe Namshar has been playing, and I don't know if he has been playing from the spa. So I don't think we've seen him on the mainstream yet, but he has been showing up. So Scarlett had two circlings here, kind of hiding, and now they're going to be revealed as Namshar is making a ton of links for this stage, but Scarlett is kind of matching. So it's strange. It's like a mirror.
It certainly is, and it actually is much more of a mirror than we would expect. They both stopped at 27 drones. They both built a hidden Roach Warren in their main base. So they are both intending to go for a really big Roachling Bane setup, and it's going to all come down to the micro, all come down to the mechanics. As we mentioned, the Banelings on both sides, just two on each side. It looks like a couple extra being morphed in here for Namshar, and Scarlett's got to be a little bit careful. She's going to start a Roach transition much more quickly. Oh, will the Zerglings get into the main base? If they scout the Roaches coming out, that would be pretty huge.
Oh, yeah, good split there last second there from Namshar. And by the way, he was working the entire time with 3 additional workers, now up to 6 additional workers. So he is in a good position defensively, and he has all the tools to actually stop Scarlett in terms of tech. Like you said, they have matching Roach Warrens, and now Namshar is just starting Roach production. So by the time Scarlett crosses the map, Namshar should be in a good position to hold. And should he hold and then continue to hold for a little bit, he will be in a very good economic position.
Yeah, pretty big Baneling connection right there, getting 5 or 6 Zerglings. And yeah, he has scouted Scarlett's Roach Warren, so he knows that there's going to be aggression coming, and that's why he's kept building units for such a long time. And now we're seeing both players droning at the same time. Namshar, I think he's in a pretty great spot right here, I gotta say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he definitely got ahead in this early game, and Scarlett maybe being overly cautious or something. This game can still obviously stabilize as it continues to transpire, but Namshar with a little bit of an economic lead for the majority of the game so far. Maybe we can pull up the income graph just to give an idea of how that has been going up until now. And you can see there clearly for the last couple of minutes is in favor of Namshar. So Scarlett has some catching up to do there.
Yeah, and she's absolutely capable of it. But as we've said, Namshar's mechanics are very good, and he's showing us a lot of good signs right now. I gotta say, I'm a little bit worried overall for Scarlett in this game number one. It's not, you can never count her out, especially when the game is still relatively close to even. But this is a decent little lead for Namshar.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's the kind of lead that you would expect Scarlett or whoever the better player is to have at this stage, right? Like where not much has happened, but there is one player that is kind of ahead. You would expect, okay, whoever has the better mechanics is more actively playing should have that lead. Instead, it's the opposite, as the other way around, and that is a great sign indeed for Namshar.
Yeah, and he's going to be getting a very quick Overlord speed. And he's got a faster, roach speed. He's got a faster +1 missile. He's kind of just extending his lead into very relevant areas. I mean, we expect this. Like, it feels like I'm almost, casting this in an ABC kind of way. But I can't overstate that this is a little bit surprising that we're at this point in the game and Namshar's got, the kind of lead, as you said perfectly, we'd expect Scarlett to have.
Yeah, with that said, however, Namshar wasn't as quick as Scarlett to really finish saturating. There's 2 drones missing from his third base expansion on the minerals, whereas Scarlett was a little bit faster to the 66 workers, which is kind of like the classic to stop at, right? So even though Namshar got to 61 workers faster, he didn't finish saturating, and Scarlett did. So from here on out, Scarlett is going to be closing the gap. And again, just to give you an idea, exactly, thank you, Niall, ahead of me, we can see that the income is now tilting in her favor.
You know what? Scarlett just got a very, very important scout right there. This was just a 5-gas setup for Namshar for a very decent bit of time, and he hasn't continued to build drones. I believe, he's gonna drop poop. He's gonna poop the creep, and this is an all-in. And wow, look at this. This is something we almost never see, but in this particular context, it's gonna be so good. That little ling drop into the main and a counterattack on the 4th.
Yeah, 34 roaches, however, and 4 ravagers against just for now on Scarlett's side 13 plus 6 ravagers. So Namshar, if he consolidates his entire army and attacks all at once, will have a very good shot at making this work. However, a few roaches are kind of off to the side. Scarlett holds the concave and is stopping a lot of the roaches that would be reinforcing otherwise for Namshar with the link drop and the rambai that you were talking about. So yeah, contextually speaking, those are really helping Scarlett to stabilize. Only roaches now in production for either player, but Namshar hitting a pretty sharp timing there. Will have to back away though, and that is kind of where you start thinking, okay, well, Scarlett has had the advantage for a minute or two in terms of economy now. She did take that faster gas that now we see Namshar try to take and catch up on, and she did saturate a little bit faster. So now things should start to really even out. And now you don't feel as good for Namshar, right? Like his advantage has kind of dissipated a little bit.
Oh, certainly not. No, and especially with Scarlett having the double Evo chamber much more quickly, she's going to be able to finish up that +1 carapace quite a bit faster. We see Namshar starting his up, but it's not even going to be a 2-1 timing right away. He'll have to wait a little bit longer for that +1 carapace. Both players getting into tunneling claws and burrow though. This is pretty cool. This is like a throwback to 2017 ZVZ, where Cyril was just beating the crap out of everyone with burrow tunneling claw roaches before they got nerfed.
Yeah, for sure. And they're still great tools. I mean, it's so difficult to answer those. I personally struggle with those, as Namshar is going to catch a couple of roaches from Scarlett. Scarlett's just going to bile wisely to try to retreat. And with a watchtower, she should know that this is maybe not an engagement that she wants to take. But she's poking on forward and kind of just feigning strength. Namshar is respecting that. Scarlett does have, I think, actually the Ravager numbers are pretty even. But yeah, with good biles, she's going to zone off Namshar. And now the army of Namshar is bruised up enough that he continues to just give respect. 4 roaches in the main are actually going to cause a little bit more trouble for Namshar. He loses 3 drones there, but also has to evacuate. Not looking too great for the Swede here.
No, this is starting to look pretty rough. Both players are going to complete their tunneling claws and burrow, and now's the time. You have a tough decision. Do you try and split units off from your army and make something happen with that. They're both at a high contested point right here, and we are going to see that burrow tunneling claws coming on in. But there was an overlord overlooking that, so not necessarily the best move.
Yeah, completely agreed. I think he should have backed a little bit and then done the same thing. Now he has roaches behind that he could burrow some of, but no, the overlords are already in position. Now Scarlett's kind of split in 2 different army groups as well, with 2 different overseers. So that's going to help her kind of keep tabs on things, as Namshar now manages to spread enough of his army that, yeah, Scarlett's aware though. Like, as soon as she sees the number of units that Namshar has on one side, she kind of counts, not literally counts, but like, you know, she looks at the groups, compares them, and says, okay, there's a bunch missing. And then she sections off just as many roaches as she feels like she's going to need on the other side. This roach just to heal.
Yeah, that was a neat little move from Scarlett. She kind of feigned to the south and then sent 4 roaches in earnest up to the north. That was a really, really cool move. Kind of using the fact that her opponent has some decent information. That was a really, really cool move. And now the little fake counter, man, there's so much like mind games going on with just little tiny moves. We do have to point out though, Scarlett has a hive well on the way. She's going to be very far ahead in terms of tech transition.
Yeah, no doubt. And she has continued to hold that little advantage in terms of drones. Now turning some of those into spines. This little contingent of roaches is going to do a little bit of damage. Force the well responded drones of Namshar to burrow to avoid taking any additional damage. Nice concave power here for Namshar. He's going to be able to position himself in a position where he can take down more of these spines. And if Scarlett doesn't answer in full force, perhaps a good bile actually might push Namshar back now.
Yeah, that was a really weird situation where Scarlett, because she wasn't kind of positioned out in front with a big defensive concave, the spines actually kind of body blocked her a little bit and caused her to take a worse fight because they weren't done and because they weren't actually doing anything. They just ended up body blocking her. But she is going to be able to still do all right. She's got her own 3-3 on the way, Lurker Den on the way. Namshar is going to find this little roach contingent. There's a lot of action happening everywhere right now, though.
Yeah, nice catch for Namshar. That's going to be the first time that he actually wins out on those little skirmishes on the side, right? Like the main skirmishes have been pretty stale maybe, and maybe Scarlett has landed a few more biles, but with Burrow, if they're not landing onto the Ravagers, it doesn't really matter too much. However, Scarlett has been winning out on just trading roaches for drones and slowing Namshar down, and that has allowed for her faster and better transitions into the late game, like you were mentioning. And Namshar finally catching a little bit of roaches, and now he is on the offense. He has a decent army here. Scarlett, I'm surprised, actually repositions to go back because she should be moving forward. I think now Namshar biling some roaches, and that's going to be important, maybe enough even to break through here. And if he is able to, then Scarlett's going to have to bring a few more additional units. Barely has enough, I think. Right?
Yeah, that was so close to see. Oh, wow. Scarlett actually getting her roaches up into a dropper lord there in the natural, I think, as they just kind of sloop up into that overlord. Just disappear off the map for a moment. That's kind of funny to see. This is going to stabilize a little bit. Namshar has a gigantic bank, but he's not advancing his position in this game in terms of tech. And that's going to be a really big problem. If he ends up fighting 3-3 lurkers with just Roach Ravager, no one wins that fight. It doesn't matter who you are. No one wins that fight.
100% correct. It is going to be extremely difficult. Some of the rocks have been broken down from Scarlett on the other side. On this side, Namshar hasn't been able to do that. A couple of roaches and a Ravager to the side. They need to get involved in this fight. When it's this small numbers, every bile, every shot is going to matter quite a bit. And yeah, now Scarlett has the transition that she has been looking for. I'm not sure if she has the supply to do it, but she can sacrifice a few roaches here and there, trade somewhat efficiently, and it's difficult not to, as you're basically headbutting against the same type of army composition. So this is perfectly fine for her. She could start remaxing on Hydras and Lurkers, but she's choosing roaches for the time being.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't hate it too much, especially since she's now going to be on better roaches anyways. Her 3-3 has completed. That's a pretty significant advantage. Obviously, the Lurkers are, you know, a much better way to end the game to ensure that she wins this. But when you're on your side of the map, I'm okay with her being a little bit more careful. And look at that multi-prong coming through. She's now knocked Namshar down to just 45 drones. Yeah,
for sure. I think it was the fact that Namshar was chasing her back, and that made it so that she wanted units now. And as soon as she stabilizes, she does sneak out 4 and now 6 additional Hydras to make it up to 10. And most likely those are just going to straight up morph to lurkers, as the hydras are going to be of little consequence, low value. A little bit of a run-by attempt here from Namshar will get caught by the very good vision that Scarlett has had throughout this entire game. So, yeah, I mean, if we look at the minimap, it's very apparent that both players have a lot of vision out on the map, but Scarlett has been really particularly good at having overseers. Not even sieged, by the way, in multiple occasions, which just goes to show that she is very good at not F2ing, I guess.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. I didn't even notice that, but that's that does help a lot. And I mean, it wouldn't really work with her setup anyways, with all the stuff she's got. We are going to see one last push trying to come in from Namshar. And the reason I say it's a last push is because lurkers are starting to hit the field. He does have a little bit of a better concave, but the lurkers are so important. Ooh, he does snipe one. But still, even just the upgrade lead is so helpful here for Scarlett. Meanwhile, she's counterattacking on the other side of the map. And Namshar has spent most of his bank. Scarlett still has a fantastic one.
Yeah, it's over. It's all over for Namshar. GG is cold, and Scarlett will take game number 1. A little shake of the head for her. It was a very close game to start, but then she found little advantages. I think that it kind of fell apart from Namshar just from not going to the 66 workers, and then Scarlett barely holding. But also, the Link counterattack and the Link drop that you were talking about, that kept some roaches behind when Namshar had like an advantage of like 3-to-1 ratio of roaches relative to Scarlett. So if he could have at some point in that moment when he was making so many units off of the little advantage he got early game, I think if he could bunch all of those units up, then he could have just killed Scarlett right out. And that is indeed a good sign. He did put up a fight there.
Yeah, he held his own. And I think if it's not for that Overseer scout, maybe Scarlett doesn't go for that big Ling counterattack. Maybe she doesn't have the Ling drop. And, you know, I wonder if that game ends right then and there, because it was a small upgrade lead for +1 missile. Yeah. It was a faster roach speed. Like, it doesn't seem like much, but those are big differences in roach v roach fights. Like, they can really turn the tide. But Scarlett able to disrupt Namshar enough and get her own upgrades up, and, you know, she stabilized from there.
Yeah, for sure. +1 is actually pretty big in those roach fights, right? Because they get the +2 actually from it. Like,
yes,
they
two damage value. Yeah,
2 damage value for the upgrade. So it's pretty great, and it's a pretty cheap upgrade as well. So it's not like it cut into his ability to make more units, and he still had like a ton of units comparatively. It's just, you know, like defender's advantage and the awareness, and her poking on the other side allowed her to hold, and from that point on, it was just a little bit favor towards Scarlett. Namshar still putting up a fight in the Roach Burrow portion of the game as well, which they both got to in like relatively at around the same time, right? They were researching tunneling closet around the same time. I also think Scarlett just got the better of Namshar by a landslide. So just a little bit of outclassing, but not super outclassing, you know, more like, yeah, like barely outclassing. I don't know what. Yeah, I don't want to make class comparisons. I was trying to think of like class comparisons, but I could only think of Draco Malfoy and Ron Weasley, and that's too big of a disparity.
Ooh. Maybe like a grade 9 versus a grade 10. You know, just
they're
close, but like not a huge difference. Yeah.
Yeah. That works.
All right, spawning up at the top right for Storm Gaming, it is Namshar in 9th grade.
And in 10th grade, is that a senior? I didn't really go to school in the Americas. It is for the Shopify Rebellion, Scarlett.
That makes you a sophomore.
A sophomore. What are the names? It's like sophomore, or no? It's like freshman is first. There's
freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, freshman.
You can just say 1, 2, 3, 4, or 9, junior, 10, 11, 12. Senior. They all work. But they have to have fancy names.
Yeah, very strange. Yeah, we did not have any of that in Peru. We just had the number.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we had the same thing in Canada, where it was just the number.
But, yeah. Oh wow! Look at that! Look at the aliens. They're trapped in those capsules. I hadn't taken note of those. What are those? Are Zerg or hybrids?
Those are like the early hybrid prototypes, where they're like, you know, we get into the campaign and we're like, man, what's going on with this? and you just see these random capsules, and you're like, that's very troubling to look at.
Yeah, get a little bit of a Matrix feel from it, right? Those are the guys that are dreaming us.
Oh, damn.
Ayun.
You know, I think about lucid dreaming sometimes, and I think about how I wouldn't want to do it because I'd be afraid of, you know, being able to. If you can control your own dreams, why would you ever want to be awake? You never would.
I disagree. I think that the beauty of life lies in its uncertainty. I think if you could control everything, it would be awfully boring.
That's what I mean. I wouldn't. Oh, so you would say that you wouldn't want to get into a dream state, anyways?
Oh, I like lucid dreaming and I like the control, but only in so long as you can contrast it with, you know, non-control, I guess.
Oh.
So like once in a while, it's cool, right? Because it's like you can mess around it, like you can fly if you decide that you can fly and stuff like that. And
that's very cool. You know, that's a really good way of putting it. I like that. By the way, we got to talk about it. There is something actually deviating here. No Baneling Nest out of Scarlett. She is playing. For me, the first player that used to do this a lot was Bly, but she's not doing a big Ling Flood with it, and that's going to mean that if Namshar put on pressure similar to what both of them kind of threatened to do in game number 1, this could have been a really scary situation here for Scarlett.
100%, yeah. Like you have to do usually a big Ling Flood with the Roach Warren opening, simply because if your opponent has matching or greater Ling numbers, and then they go into Banelings, you're just kind of screwed, right? Because once it's Ling Bane against just Ling, and you're having to defend against Ling Bane, you're just dead. Like you definitely cannot hold your third. So the Roaches will take a little bit longer to do that. So you want to have more links or equal links at the very least at your opponent, so that they cannot morph the Banelings on your side of the map, right? So that if they start morphing Banelings, you have too many more links and you can pounce on that opportunity. So yeah, big risk from Scarlett, but it's going to pay off.
Yeah, and you know what? I honestly, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all, because Namshar is the kind of player that is not going to go for that kind of thing. She's going to find quite a few drones on this third base. 3 drones getting picked off for free, and that is a really, really nice pickoff. We already mentioned that she has a slight build order advantage that kind of gets her a nice little advantage. And being able to get 3 drones for free as well, almost needs a big Baneling, but is able to get away. That's really nice. That is really, really strong for Scarlett.
Yeah, exactly like you just mentioned. It is exactly that steadfast. It's the fact that she was already ahead by virtue of skipping the Baneling Nest. That is, you know, like a couple hundred resources that she didn't have to spend, much less in Banelings, and those are going to kind of become irrelevant as the game progresses. There is a chance that Namshar maybe looks to utilize him. Like a player that does really good with that is usually Cham, for example. Like he usually makes 3 to 4 Banelings early on, and he always finds a way to drop them into mineral lines later. So if you can do something like that with the Banelings, then maybe there's a chance that you still find value, but otherwise it's just wasted. And, you know, Scarlett in response has gotten faster, not just to a Roach Warren, but now also a Spire.
And this is super interesting too, because she's gone for a very quick second Evo Chamber, and it's at the front, so it could be spotted very, very easily here. That's the kind of thing that if you see that as a Zerg player, Banelings do get a little bit of value, but that's not really much. I mean, Zerglings you don't really care too much about them in the mid game. But if you see double Evo Chamber wiggling away, there's no way you're expecting a Spire behind this.
No way, Jose. Yeah, it's very difficult. And actually, Namshar is gonna get a scout, but luckily, no! I guess there was 2 Roaches that were about to deny that scout, but that would have been gigantic, actually. Yeah, for all the reasons that you're mentioning. He sees what the front looks like. He sees Roaches that are coming down the ramp of Scarlett's main. So he should anticipate that this is just Roaches. Regardless, I'm not sure what the read of Namshar is, how he is making this decision. But he is saying, I gotta go out and do something right now. He is perfectly right. And if he's gonna have any sort of opening, it is right now, as the Muta are in production.
Yeah, this is actually a really, really tricky situation here for Scarlett. She's going to try and take a good concave here. She will find a decent one. Namshar doesn't have his reinforcements across the map just yet. The Mutas, they are going to pop out momentarily, and I think Scarlett's going to be okay here. Yeah, there's not a ton of reinforcements flooding across the map, and now the Mutas are out. They won't kill these units quickly, but they will eventually kill every single one of them.
Yeah, and that's just crazy sad for Namshar, right? It really speaks to how behind he was. because Scarlett is basically able to match him on defense when he is hitting just about a perfect timing before Muta, right? And the Muta are not just an investment in the Muta itself, which is in this case 600 minerals, 600 gas, 1200 resources plus the Spire, another 400 or so. So like that, you know, that's a pretty big chunk of money that Scarlett didn't have invested into her defense and still holds comfortably pretty much before the Muta come out. So Namshar in just a completely precarious position. He's behind in bases. He doesn't have map control. His army is worse. His upgrades are later even for the ground. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's any glimmer of hope here.
And it just goes from like bad to worse, because now Scarlett, she can abuse the fact that Namshar has no vision. She's going to shove forward on this, gets a decent little corrosive bout, even contaminating the Evo Chamber with +2 missile. I think this might just be it right here.
Yeah, this is a little bit of disrespect almost, right? It's like, hey, I can kill you with my ground army, even though I just went for Muta, and I'm also killing you with it. Like, she's killing him twice, basically, in one go, which is just insane. The Queen of Base showed up to play this second game. 22 workers have fallen. The army on all fronts is bigger for Scarlett. And this is just an issue of Namshar realizing that he's completely dead, and, you know, like at least he can turn around and maybe get a massage.
Yeah, have some applesauce, you know.
Yeah.
Have a nice little book before bed. Maybe smoke his pipe. I don't know why. He just looks like an old grandpa to me right now.
Yeah, take off his glasses, put on a mask of sorts, slice a couple cucumbers, put them over the eyelids, and forget that this ever happened, because this was absolutely brutal of a second game. But hey, it was a good first game from Namshar, so there is that to take away at least. But yeah, there we go.
There it is. GG gets called.